Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here.
In Meghan's case, it seems to me she's absolutely determined to force feed the narrative. And damn it, they're going to accept it and keep going. And people are just too smart.
Bad news in Harry and Meghan world, their show has been canceled. Season 3 of With Love, Meghan has been canceled by Netflix.
Devastating moment for Prince Harry's reputation and credibility, as he argues with a judge while in the dock, contradicts himself, appears to fib about using the pseudonym Mr. Mischief.
Tom Bower's claim centers on one specific part of the alleged prenup, a clause that reportedly deals with intellectual property and business control. According to his account, the agreement lists Meghan as the business manager for their joint ventures. That means anything created under the Sussex brand, documentaries, podcasts, books, or production deals, would technically fall under business structures she oversees.
Well, absolutely, but don't even believe that there were 5 options. What you really saw were Harry's and Meghan's fantasy narrative, which they call the truth. What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was cheered as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British royalty and all the values of the Queen and all the tradition and 1,000 years of history. So people were cheering not just the person, but also the institution.
If that interpretation is correct, it could give her a major advantage in the event of a split. Think about what that covers: Netflix projects, podcast deals, brand partnerships, publishing rights, and potentially the content tied to Harry's memoir Spare. Instead of those assets being treated as simple shared income under California community property law, the clause would reportedly categorize them as managed intellectual property tied to a business entity. And whoever controls that entity controls the revenue streams. According to Bower, this structure may explain several things that observers noticed over the past few years.
Trial court level on this push to make the British royal family pay for his security when he goes to the UK.
Once they realise that myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, please just look at the fact. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, look where the responsibility lies.
What a manipulation. My father's grandchildren. They're going to, and it will be his fault.
It's gaslighting on a
One example is Meghan's decision in January 2026 to reconnect with Sunshine Sachs, the high-profile PR firm known for managing major celebrity crises, including high-profile divorces and reputation rebuilds. Bower suggests that move wasn't random. He believes it fits a pattern that started quietly back in 2022, when Meghan reportedly began restructuring parts of the Sussex brand operations and communication strategy. If true, it would mean the groundwork for financial independence was being laid years in advance.
It's almost like Harry 2.0 is Brooklyn Beckham. Have you seen any of this action where...
Yes, I'm into it.
I'm so
very
into it because he doesn't talk to his father, fall out with the...
He was trying to humiliate her by clearly suggesting she came onto him. There was a little incestual dance.
Oof.
Another part of the alleged clause reportedly deals with royal-related assets. Royal legal agreements are designed to protect the monarchy's wealth and historical property. That means Harry's inheritance tied to royal trusts, including funds connected to Princess Diana's estate, may already be shielded from division under UK legal frameworks.
He holds on to these terrible, unhappy moments with Meghan, who he says, she's absolute misery, but, that's not true either. And she wasn't around in the late 1990s. I mean, it's a sort of extraordinary way of behaving.
Even season 2 of her show was fake. It was not a season 2. It was a lie.
But the commercial deals Harry and Meghan built together in California are a different story. Those fall under American law, so the prenup clause Bower describes appears to act like a bridge between two legal systems: British royal asset protection, California community property law. And according to his interpretation, the wording may ensure that while Harry keeps certain inherited assets, Meghan could retain control over the commercial empire built during their marriage.
He wanted half in, half out. He wanted his own cake and eat it. And the royal family said, no, you're either in the royal family or not in the royal family.
April 2025, she said it's the happiest she's ever been. She's having a wonderful time. She can't believe it, and she's happy and grateful. Now, what sort of idiot would say that in court when he talks to the person herself has given something completely different?
If the clause works the way Bauer suggests, it wouldn't mean Harry is left with nothing, but it could mean he has less control over the Sussex brand than many people assumed. That's why the alleged clause on page 14 has drawn so much attention. It doesn't just deal with money, it deals with ownership of the story itself, the documentaries, interviews, books, and narratives that turned the Sussexes into one of the most talked about couples in the world.
The more Meghan must have been convinced of her importance to the monarchy. Do you still think she's that delusional? And maybe the answer is watching her at Kevin Costner's 805 Live event in $300,000 worth of jewelry, including Diana's Cartier watch.
And in the modern media economy, the story can be worth far more than the inheritance. It's important to note that none of these claims have been confirmed publicly. Prenuptial agreements involving royal family members are private legal documents, and neither Harry nor Meghan has ever commented on the details of their contract. Still, Bauer's theory has sparked intense debate among royal watchers, because if there really is a clause like the one he describes, it could explain why the Sussex brand has always looked less like a traditional royal partnership, and more like a carefully structured media business. And in a business, control often matters more than titles. Tom Bauer's argument goes even further when he looks at how the couple's finances were structured after 2022.
Wherever she is, whether it's at Costner or in Colombia or in Nigeria or wherever, she's always, her publicist will reveal that she's wearing one of Diana's pieces of jewelry.
Prince Harry, his heart seems to have softened, or there's been some sort of evolution. So I do think you're right that a lot of us were kind of caught off guard by the Prince Andrew decision, because we had grown accustomed to cuddly Charles, Grandpa Charles, with the grandkids in his lap. And when I saw the news, I thought, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like this again in my lifetime, but maybe I will because of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
According to the sources he cites, the big headline deals, especially the Netflix contract often reported as $100 million, were widely misunderstood. Bauer claims that figure represented a maximum potential value, not guaranteed money.
And even the publishers couldn't quite believe some of the things which I discovered. And one of the big things at that time was sensitivity reading. There was a great fear that she would play the race card.
I was doing an interview to offer them a platform to tell their story about why they left. And that was my number one intention, was just clarity on why did you leave? And so some of the things that were revealed in that interview came as a surprise to me. And those surprises are now referred to as bombs.
Like most Hollywood production deals, the payout depended on delivering a full slate of content. Some projects did materialize: the Harry and Meghan documentary series, other limited productions connected to their media company, but several planned projects reportedly stalled or were canceled, including the animated series Pearl.
And that's the thing about Meghan. She's a very, very deceitful person, which they've created, and they're going to earn a fortune out of it. And don't forget, there's Harry's book still to come next month. And then at some stage, there'll be Meghan's book. I mean, they're making a career out of this stuff.
Because of that, insiders told Bauer the actual earnings from Netflix may have been closer to around $40 million before the agreement shifted into a smaller first-look arrangement. That's where Bauer says Meghan's financial strategy becomes noticeable. Around 2022, as some of those entertainment projects slowed down, Meghan began setting up independent business ventures. One of the most visible was the lifestyle brand American Riviera Orchard.
Your show's been canceled. You're not going to be the next Martha Stewart, Meghan. I mean, the fact that Meghan Markle had a cooking show and she moved pretzels from one bag into another was crazy.
Professionally, they've gone down dramatically, and I predicted it in the book. But even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, But I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Trademark filings connected to that brand were reportedly registered in her own name, not jointly with Harry. At the same time, additional companies were allegedly created outside of Archewell, the nonprofit and business structure the couple launched together.
The authenticity is really what the issue is, and there's, they just hired a whole new PR firm.
Because in the end, one of Meghan's many deficiencies is she has nothing to say. There's no originality. There's no profundity.
According to Bauer's interpretation, the pattern suggests a move toward separate income streams. Instead of relying entirely on joint ventures, Meghan appeared to be building projects where she would hold direct ownership. Bauer also points to reports about the couple's Montecito home and financial structure. Under California law, a primary residence can be protected by homestead protections.
They bought 12 episodes and you sliced it. Everybody
Craft
knows
Services
that.
did not come back. The trucks did not drive up the driveway again and relight the whole place.
What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013, and she wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and she targeted. There's no doubt she targeted Harry.
Meaning certain levels of personal property value are shielded from creditors or financial disputes. Financial advisors often recommend separating investments or creating different accounts and business entities for asset protection. In Bauer's view, those kinds of steps, separate companies, trademark filings, and independent branding, could be interpreted as a broader strategy aimed at financial stability and independence.
Can't ignore them if they keep popping up doing stuff like this. That's the thing. We're kind of in a mutually abusive, toxic relationship, aren't we? The media and Harry and Meghan, because they keep doing stuff wanting attention. Then they get quite adverse reaction most of the time. Then they react really badly to the reaction. And so it goes on.
Well, what it really boils down to is the threat they offer. If the threat was punctured, which I hope my book will do.
I don't know that he would hang on with Meghan because, as we know, he's not in the top 1,000 that for Netflix.
However, it's important to stress that none of these claims have been confirmed publicly by Harry or Meghan. Prenuptial agreements, business contracts, and private financial structures are confidential legal matters. Much of what Bauer describes comes from unnamed sources and interpretations of public filings. Supporters of Meghan argue that building independent ventures is simply normal business practice, especially for public figures managing multiple brands and partnerships. Critics, on the other hand, see the moves as part of a calculated long-term strategy. Either way, Bauer's central point is that the real story may not be a single secret clause in a prenup.
The internet is undefeated. You cannot fool it. You will never get away with it.
Be doing anymore, which I'm not shocked because nobody was watching it. Okay, that show is like number 5,206 on the Netflix charts.
Instead, he argues, the bigger picture lies in years of financial decisions, brand structures, and legal arrangements that shaped the Sussexes' business empire. And in today's media world, those business structures can matter just as much as royal titles or public narratives. Whether his interpretation proves accurate or not, the debate highlights something bigger. The lives of Harry and Meghan are no longer just part of the royal story. They're part of a global media and business landscape where contracts, branding, and ownership often drive the real power behind the scenes.
I bet you guys they put so much money into the show and then no one tuned in to watch it that it was just not a good return on investment.
In Meghan's mind, she is Diana.
Yes.
I mean, Diana Spencer is Meghan Spencer. And that was all part of her imagination that somehow she could inherit the glow of her dead mother-in-law.
Tom Bower's theory ultimately builds toward one central claim, that Meghan's financial and legal moves since 2022 resemble what some experts describe as a classic asset protection strategy. According to the people Bower says he spoke with, several details stand out. First, many of Meghan's newer ventures appear to be registered under her name alone. Examples often mentioned include the American Riviera Orchard.
Documentary on his mother would be, by him, surrounded by all of these yes people.
It would be totally inaccurate. I mean, from his own book, where he says for a long time he thought his mother had just disappeared and now believes she'd been murdered by the paparazzi, which is ridiculous. It is filling most people with nausea and fury, what they're doing, because they're setting themselves up as the victims, but in fact they're the aggressors.
ARO trademark filings her podcast partnership with Lemonada Media. Her children's book, The Bench, which was released as her own creative project, Bower argues that these moves signal a shift away from joint ventures with Harry toward independent ownership and brand control. In his timeline, 2022 becomes the key turning point. That's the year he believes Meghan began focusing more heavily on projects where she retained full legal ownership rather than shared Sussex-branded enterprises. However, it's important to emphasize something here.
I don't think I think, however, that if he did a program about his mother, that would be for money.
Yes.
And I think it would be a shocking act of further disloyalty.
I can't even be around it as a consumer. I can't imagine how Harry handles this as a full-time partner.
None of these claims have been confirmed publicly, and Bower's conclusions are based largely on interpretations of public filings and unnamed sources. He also speculates about what might happen if a divorce ever occurred under California law. For example, California requires at least 6 months of residency before filing for divorce, which Meghan already meets. Courts in the state typically prioritize shared custody and stability for children, though the specifics of any case depend on many factors. Asset division usually depends on how property and businesses are legally structured.
The way she's artificially building herself up, like the humble brags that she constantly does, she's so incredibly needy.
And his mother had amazing status. She looked beautiful. She had terrific poise. She worked very hard at being a royal. She was very empathetic with a lot of sick people. None of the things that Meghan would ever dream of doing.
Bower suggests that if intellectual property and business entities were structured in Meghan's name, that could affect who controls certain brands or ventures in a hypothetical split. But again, this is speculation, not confirmed legal fact. He also points to Harry's recent public stress, including his court battles with British media organizations, as signs of personal pressure. Critics of Bower's argument say he may simply be connecting dots that don't necessarily prove a coordinated strategy. Building independent companies, registering trademarks individually, and diversifying income streams are common steps for many public figures. Supporters of Bower's analysis believe those moves could indicate careful long-term planning.
It's unlikely that there will be a third series of With Love Meghan on Netflix, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yes, definitely. That's what they've said. 2 series vowed, and there's not going to be another one.
These are things you would know if this were actually your friend. So I'm going to miss their latent fear in interaction.
At the end of the day, the real truth about the Sussexes' finances and marriage is known only to the people directly involved. What Bower has done is present one possible interpretation, a narrative built from legal speculation, public business filings, and insider claims. And that's why the debate keeps growing. Some people believe Meghan carefully structured her business life to ensure independence. Others think the theory says more about royal gossip culture than about the reality of the couple's relationship. For now, one thing is clear. Without verified documents or statements from Harry and Meghan themselves, the idea of a hidden Page 14, Clause 7 remains a controversial claim rather than an established fact. So the real question becomes the same one people across media and social platforms are asking: is this evidence of a calculated long-term strategy, or simply a case of a biographer drawing dramatic conclusions from incomplete information?